Today, on your bonus episode on the Raven's Knock, a beautiful, bubbly 5-year-old girl went missing and no one reported it. 2 years passed before officers found out that she had not been seen or heard from and began to investigate. What they uncovered was tragic and disturbing. This is the tragic story of Harmony Montgomery. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Amy Prince, and this is the Raven Knocks. If you like what you see in here, please like, subscribe, and donate to this channel. It really helps me, and I cannot continue without support. I also want to give thanks for all of those who have been subscribing and sharing my post. And I want to give a shout out to my peeps across the pond in Australia, the UK, and in Canada. I love to hear about crimes abroad, and of course, we have our fair share of sickos over here in the US too. With that said, please note that the content of this recording may contain graphic material, including torture and explicit language may be used. The opinions are of my own and may be offensive to some listeners. They are my opinions. Everyone has them. If you do not agree, then ignore them like an adult and move on. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Harmony Renee Montgomery was born on June 7th, 2014. To Adam Montgomery and Crystal Sorey. She was born with a medical condition that was rare, and it was called helioprocephaly, which I'm sure I mispronounced that, but it's a brainstem disorder, and they stated that she probably wouldn't live past 7 months. They also stated that she was legally blind in both eyes. Her mother, Crystal, had a very hard time with this diagnosis, and she fell into drugs. This led Harmony to go to a foster home at only 2 months old. She stayed with her foster parents for 2 months, then returned back to her mother. Later, she would go back to live with the foster parents for 2.5 years. When she was a baby, the foster parent noticed that she was able to track her when she was feeding her, and they eventually changed her diagnosis to septo-optic dysplasia. She would thrive and be a normal child, but she was still blind, but in only one eye. Adam and Crystal did not stay together, and Adam went on to marry Kayla Montgomery. Adam fought for 4 years to get custody of Harmony. During that time, Adam and Kayla went on to have 2 boys. Finally, Adam was granted custody of Harmony in February 2019, and Crystal would get to see her for a couple of hours a week. She also got FaceTime visits. Harmony was totally potty trained and never had any accidents when she first came to live with Adam and Kayla. They were living at 77 Guilford Street, which was the home of Adam's grandmother. In the house, it was his grandmother, Adam, Kayla, their 2 boys, Harmony, Adam's uncle, and his girlfriend. His grandmother moved out in May of 2019 and moved down to Florida because they had other family there. In the middle of July 2019, Adam's uncle and girlfriend left the home and went to Florida because the grandmother was having open heart surgery. Kayla was working at Dunkin' Donuts from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and the kids would stay home with Adam while she worked. She ended up getting fired because she got caught stealing. Keep this in your rat hole for later. Adam's uncle came back in from Florida, and when he walked into the kitchen, he saw Adam and Harmony Now, Adam's uncle was subpoenaed to testify, and it was very clear that he did not want to be on that stand. He was very emotional. He stated that when he saw Harmony, he saw her black eye. He looked at Adam and asked, "What in the fuck did you do to her?" Now, this is interesting because his first thought was that Adam had done something to her instead of just thinking it was an accident. Adam stated that he bashed her head around the fucking house. His uncle said he said it like he was a cocky son of a bitch. Adam proceeded to tell him that he had went into the restroom to move his bowels and had left Harmony, who was 5, in charge of her little brother, who was about 4 to 5 months old. When he emerged from the bathroom, he saw Harmony with her hand over the baby's mouth and his lips were blue. That's when he began to bash her head all over the house. What a punishment. The next morning, the uncle left the residence with his belongings. He also informed all of his family members of the incident, as well as DCS. When Kayla came home that day, she too saw the black eye, and Adam told her the same story. Then they saw DCS pulling in. He quickly put Harmony in the car and drove off. He kept DCS away for 2 weeks, stating that the kids had a virus and it wasn't a good time. When DCS was finally able to do a home visit, the worker saw what was left of the black eye. Adam explained that Harmony and her older son was playing with some lightsabers, and Seamus, which was the oldest, had hit Harmony in the eye on accident. The day before Thanksgiving, they ended up being evicted from the residence because no one was paying the mortgage. They began to live in their car, which was a Chrysler Sebring. The car was full, with her and Adam up front and 3 kids in the back. They ended up parking at a place called Colonial Village Apartments because Adam had a friend who lived there and who would also give them drugs. It was at this time that Harmony began to have accidents and not telling them when she needed to go potty. Harmony's accidents were happening every day and more frequently, and this infuriated Adam. He would become so angry. He would begin to punch and slap her in the head and yell at her. He was causing her to have extensive bruising, and she never went without black eyes. It was so bad, they would cover her with a comforter anytime anyone was near, so no one would see her. On November 29, 2019, they had a car accident. They were on their way to get drugs when a truck blew through the stop sign. Adam was driving as Kayla didn't have a driver's license. Again, they covered Harmony up with a comforter, and no one saw Harmony, not even the officer that did the report. Now, apparently there wasn't that much damage to the vehicle because they were still able to drive it. The morning of December 7th, 2019 began as any other morning. They were headed to the methadone clinic to get their medication, and Harmony already had an accident before they even got started. Adam punished her by punching her with his fist in the face and on her head. Kayla went into the clinic first, followed by Adam. When Adam came back out to the car, he smelled a strong odor of urine, and he went off. He began yelling at Harmony, and again began to hit her in the head over and over again. Kayla tried to distract him by asking him to take her to Burger King. They finally pulled out, but this didn't stop Adam. No. At every red light, he would go in between the seats to continue punching Harmony in the head. Kayla put her arm up to stop him, and she said when he looked at her, he looked pure evil, that he had crazy eyes, and it terrified her, so she stopped. He continued to yell at Harmony, and he was telling her to shut the fuck up. They covered her up with a comforter as they went through the drive-thru. In line, Adam punched her again, but this time he told Kayla he thought he really might have hurt her because he felt something when he took that last punch. Harmony's crying had reduced to moaning, and as they were on their way back to the parking lot of Colonial Village, Harmony was making weird noises. When they got there, they purchased some drugs and continued to get high. They were on heroin and crack. That lasted about 15 minutes when they decided to leave. They managed to get one street over when the car died. Adam tried to boost it off, but it wouldn't start. They had no choice but to leave the car where it was. When they began to get the kids out, Adam began yelling and shaking Harmony because she wouldn't wake up. He then punched her to try to get her to wake up, but she was dead. Like, I understand, kind of shaking a little bit, hey, wake up. But punching her? Seriously? He then went to the trunk and removed the clothes from a duffel bag. And I saw the bag, and to me, it looks like a large beach bag. He then folded Harmony in half and stuffed her into the bag. They never called for help. Kayla stated she was scared to death of Adam at this point, and she had 2 other small children. She had no car, and she had no phone. She stated that Harmony was so very bruised and was black and blue all over, and both of her eyes were swollen, as well as her face, and she was black. They walked back to the Colonial Village when Adam put the duffel bag into a snowbank next to the dumpsters. They get a ride to get their belongings out of the car and return to their friend who lived there. He allowed them to stay in his car, but only for the weekend. Adam then retrieved the duffel bag and put it in the trunk of his friend's car. The friend bought him pizza for the weekend, but he never saw Harmony. After the weekend, they went to Kayla's aunt's house. Kayla wanted her aunt to talk to her mother and get her mom to allow them to stay with her for a few days. Her mom agreed and picked them up in her van. Harmony is still in the bag and is still being treated as if she were actual luggage. Kayla's mom never saw Harmony at this time. She had met her once before, but her mother testified When they came and stayed with her for 2 weeks, they didn't have Harmony, and she was under the impression that she went to live with her mother. Adam put Harmony in a cooler Kayla's mom had outside of her apartment door. She would stay in this cooler for 2 weeks until they moved to a shelter. Once they moved into the shelter, Adam stuffed the bag with Harmony in it in the vent in the ceiling. Now, they lived at this shelter for 2 months. Soon, she had begun to smell, and someone called maintenance to try to find out where the smell was coming from. They found out, and so he removed her from the vent, took her to the bathroom, and was putting lye in the bag. He also put her in trash bags and then stuffed her into a new bag. Kayla stated she didn't know what he had done with the original bag that Harmony was in. All she knew is he had gotten rid of it and they no longer had it. She was then beginning to leak bodily fluids. There was fluid and some blood in the ceiling that Adam didn't know about and would be helpful to the police later. He asked Kayla to bring the bag that held Harmony to his job. At the time, he worked at Portland Pie Company. He worked there for 2 months. So she walked Harmony over in a stroller. It was a 10 to 15 minute walk. She had both little boys with her. She stated she obeyed because she was scared. Adam then placed Harmony in the freezer at work. They eventually got an actual apartment on Union Street in February 2020. Kayla stated that Adam put Harmony in the bathtub of the apartment and was running hot water over her so she would thaw. He then cut her clothes and made Kayla help. But Kayla ended up leaving the bathroom because she just couldn't take it, as she was afraid of what he was fixing to do. He had told her he was going to eventually dismember her because if she was in pieces, it would be easier for him to dispose of her. He had stated he wanted to use a handsaw or a NutriBullet. For those who don't know, a NutriBullet is a small blender used for smoothies or puree. He said the blender would help out with the process. He was also going to use lime on her as it would help her body decay faster and help with the smell. Kayla stated that Harmony barely had any skin left and she was severely bruised. She said Adam stayed in that bathroom for hours and she had no idea what he was doing in there. She did know that he had 3 large bags of lime along with some trash bags. When he finally came out, he had the bag with him and proceeded to put it back in the freezer. He stated that if she was frozen, then her body couldn't leak fluid. All the lime was gone. He had put her clothing and other things in a trash bag and said he was going to throw it out, but not in their trash, but somewhere else. She wasn't sure if anything in that particular trash bag had any of Harmony in it or not. Adam said he needed to get rid of her soon because he was afraid of getting caught and what would happen to him, her, and the boys. He cleaned up the bathroom with ammonia. He thought the ammonia would get rid of evidence that contained blood or bodily fluid. And then he got in touch with an old friend. The friend and his girlfriend met Adam and Kayla along with their kids at a cheap motel. They'd done some drugs, and Adam stated that he needed a U-Haul because he needed to move. The rooms for the hotel was in his friend's girlfriend's name, as he didn't want any traces of him anywhere. He also needed the U-Haul in someone else's name. So his friend called another friend, and they went and rented a U-Haul van. Once when they all came back, they went to bed, or so they thought. Adam took the U-Haul along with Harmony, who was still in the bag, and left in the night and didn't return until the sun began to rise. He never told Kayla where he was going or where he was putting her, so if the cops ever asked her, she honestly wouldn't know. When they had been at the shelter, Adam began to get paranoid. He began accusing Kayla of telling on him. Regardless if she told him the truth that she wasn't, or if she lied and said she did, either way he would beat her. He told her if she ever told that and if he couldn't, he would get one of his cousins to kill her, dismember her, and they would never find her body. His paranoia grew as time went on. When they eventually moved into their last apartment, he unscrewed the lights from the ceiling because he thought somebody had hidden cameras in them. When they were picked up by state transportation to go to and from the methadone clinic, Rose, the driver, stated she had picked them up several times before. She said she never saw Harmony with them. The last time she picked them up, Kayla had 2 black eyes that were almost swollen shut, and her face was also swollen. Both her and Adam were in the car, so she didn't ask her in front of him what had happened. Once back home, Adam got out of the car first, and Kayla asked Rose to use her phone, and Rose quickly handed it to her. Kayla was going to call her mom for help because she was scared. Before she could get her mom on the line, Adam marched back to the car, but Rose said it wasn't Adam. It was pure evil. He twisted Rose's arm and took the phone from both of them and told her that Kayla wasn't calling anyone. Rose said she told him that she loved him and she was just trying to help. And in that instant, she said he softened, let her go, and let her have her phone back. She was so terrified that she requested that she never take them anywhere again, and she bought her some mace. By the way, Rose seems like such a sweetheart. On March 17th, 2021, Kayla finally had the courage to take the kids and leave Adam. She had 2 black eyes. December 2021, the police finally get involved as Harmony's biological mother had been trying to get in touch with Adam and Kayla about her visits with Harmony. They had denied her calls, blocked her, etc. Adam's uncle got in touch with her and told her about Harmony's black eye. She too called DCF, and she also wrote the mayor. She pleaded with police, and so they decided to do a welfare check. Adam informed Kayla of what to say and not to tell them that he was in Maine. Kayla said she was still terrified of Adam, so she gave the same story to police and the grand jury. The story was that when she was working at Dunkin' Donuts, Adam brought Harmony there and met Crystal, and Crystal took Harmony with her. Since they didn't have stable housing, it was in her best interest to be back with her mother. And later, when Adam came to pick her up at the end of her shift, Harmony wasn't with them. She was apparently with her mother. Now, Kayla would go to jail for this, as she was found guilty of perjury. She has since served her time and is now out on parole. A friend of Adam's he had that worked at the clinic testified that Adam only spoke of Harmony a couple of times, and he had told her that Harmony reminded him of her mother, and he hated her. They clarified this, and it was confirmed that he said he had hated Harmony because she reminded him of his ex, which is Harmony's mother. Police could not locate Harmony, and they were just not getting anywhere with Adam. Kayla finally breaks down and tells them what happened. The police then go back to the places they had been to look for any evidence, and they do find evidence and DNA that matched both Adam's and Harmony in that ceiling. Adam stated that he fucked up when he was talking to one of his friends, and his friend came forward with this information. However, he never said how he had fucked up. The police detained Adam Montgomery as the court had declared Harmony deceased. They charged him with second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence. Adam never made his court appearance, and the prosecution offered to reduce his sentence by 21 years if he disclosed where he put Harmony's body, but he declined. He still will not tell anyone where she is. He was found guilty on all counts, and the judge sentences him to 45 years to life to run concurrently with the long sentences he is already serving for weapons charges. I don't understand how he can sleep at night knowing what he's done and not even giving his 5-year-old daughter a proper burial. How can a father do that? And why did he fight for 4 years to get her, only to beat her to death? Unless, of course, he just fought to get her so he wouldn't have to pay child support. That would make sense. And that is the story of Harmony Montgomery. This case is so sad, but it also needs to be heard. Her father is a monster. I hope he never gets out of prison. So that wraps up this story. Again, I hope you enjoyed it as much as you could. Please like, subscribe, and share, and tell your friends who you would think would like this podcast. We are on all platforms. And thanks for being a premium subscriber. I can't thank you guys enough. And until next time, be safe.